Have you ever stared at an email, a community flyer, or maybe a proposal and just thought, wait, what did I just read? We've all been there. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to dive straight into the hidden blueprints of non-journalistic texts. We're talking about things like announcements, formal letters, and position papers. We'll unpack exactly how their internal structures shape their true meaning, and more importantly, how they drive real-world action.
Here is our roadmap for the Explainer today. We're going to kick things off with the power of organization, then look at explaining with expository texts, persuading your audience, and arguing with solid evidence. After that, we'll actually practice fixing some confusing communication and wrap up with clear writing in real life. And to make this super relatable, we're going to explore all of this using a real-world case study about community flooding.
All right, Section 1, the power of organization and the problem of chaos. To really get why this matters, we first need to ground ourselves in the real-world consequences of poorly organized communication.
Seriously, think about this for a second. What actually happens when ideas in a text just aren't arranged clearly? Well, when we have something incredibly important to say, like a safety warning or a plea for help, but our ideas are all over the place, the actual message gets completely lost. The reader gets frustrated, they tune out, and crucial actions get delayed.
Okay, take a listen to this jumbled paragraph. People should help during cleanup drives. Flood happens when drainage is clogged. Garbage should not be thrown anywhere. Some people are busy. Clean roads are safer. This brilliantly illustrates the chaos, right? It's about a drainage problem in a local barangay or neighborhood. It definitely has good intentions, but there is absolutely zero structure here. It jumps frantically from a demand to a fact to an observation about people's schedules. If you handed this to a community leader, they'd have a really hard time following it, let alone taking any action.
Let's shift gears to Section 2, explaining with expository texts, and why clean drainage matters. We're going to take that exact same topic of flood prevention and look at it through our very first structural lens.
Basically, an expository text is your go-to blueprint when your only job is to explain or inform. You'd use this specific structure when you're writing, say, an objective report for your boss, or a factual community announcement regarding typhoon preparedness. It strips away all the emotion and focuses purely on logical relationships, like cause and effect or problem and solution.
Listen to how this sentence handles the topic. When plastics, leaves, and other waste block the flow of water, flooding becomes more likely. Drawn right from a real scenario in Leyte where heavy rain causes water to pool up fast, it simply and clearly explains a direct cause and effect. It's not asking you to grab a shovel yet, it's just stating the facts. Waste blocks water, which causes flooding, plain and simple. So, the whole point here is that an expository text relies on a steady, logical flow. First, you establish the topic. Then, you state your main idea. From there, you meticulously build your case downward with supporting details, often using that cause and effect structure we just talked about, before wrapping the whole thing up with a neat conclusion. It is all about crystal clear information.
Moving on to Section 3, persuading your audience and inspiring action. Now let's see how our structural blueprint completely changes when our goal shifts from just informing someone to actually getting them off the couch.
Enter the persuasive text. This urgent, emotionally charged structure is absolutely perfect for writing a campaign flyer or a letter urging neighbors to join a volunteer drive to clear out those clogged canals. The intent has shifted away from pure education and moved right into active motivation.
Check out the language here. Let us act now and keep our drainage clean for a safer barangay. It's incredibly energetic, right? It directly demands immediate community cooperation, really tapping into that powerful cultural spirit of communal unity known as bayanihan. It isn't just letting you know the drains are clogged. It's telling you, hey, we must fix this together right now.
To get that kind of energy, a persuasive text actually strips away neutral explanations. Instead, it structures itself around a strong, upfront position. You list out your compelling reasons, you inject persuasive vocabulary throughout the entire piece, and most importantly, you end with an undeniable call to action. This blueprint is literally designed to get people moving. Which brings us to Section 4, arguing with solid evidence to prove your point. For our third angle, we need to look at what happens when the stakes are a bit higher. What if you're facing valid objections and you really need to logically build an airtight case?
Welcome to the argumentative text. You'd pull out this measured, highly logical structure for a formal position paper, or maybe a proposal to your barangay captain for a brand new community program.
It doesn't just loudly push an agenda, it builds a fortress of solid evidence.
Now, this excerpt is a perfect example because it does something brilliant. It addresses the elephant in the room. It openly presents the opposing idea that, hey, people are just too busy for cleanup drives, and then it immediately shuts it down with a logical rebuttal. Acknowledging the other side doesn't make you look weak. It actually proves you've thought the whole issue through.
By structurally anticipating those disagreements, the argumentative text builds a bulletproof case. You start with your claim, you pile on the evidence, you deliberately introduce the counterargument, you smash it with a rebuttal, and then you conclude. If you want to win a debate about establishing monthly cleanup drives, this is the exact structure you use.
If you look at this breakdown, it perfectly summarizes our 3 case studies side by side. It shows you exactly how the core purpose of your communication dictates how you organize your ideas. Whether you are logically moving from a main idea down to details, heading straight for an energetic call to action, or carefully navigating through counterarguments, the blueprint matters. All right, Section 5, Fixing Confusing Communication. Now that we have our 3 blueprints clearly defined, let's solve a textual puzzle. We're going to fix that chaotic paragraph from the very beginning of the explainer.
Let's look at this transformation. The original chaotic version jumps everywhere. But in the revision, by purposefully applying an argumentative structure, the actual meaning finally shines through. Watch this. We establish the cause, clogged drainage. We make a claim, residents should help. We introduce the counterargument, people are busy, and immediately offer the rebuttal, scheduling weekend activities. The confusion totally vanishes once the structure is clear.
And finally, Section 6, Clear Writing in Real Life. It is so important to realize that this isn't just some academic exercise confined to an English class. Outlining your thoughts is a vital, everyday tool for community safety, protecting livelihoods, and driving effective action.
Before you even type the first word of a letter, an announcement, or a proposal, whether it's about typhoon preparedness or workplace safety, just follow these simple steps. Map out your thoughts. Decide exactly what your end goal is, and pick the structural blueprint that's going to get your reader there.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on regarding your own communication habits. Your text becomes clear when its ideas are organized according to its true purpose. The next time you sit down to write something important, just ask yourself, am I giving facts? Am I trying to start a movement? Or am I building a case? Choose your blueprint wisely and your message will never ever get lost in the chaos again. Thanks for joining this explainer.